G'day Internet, Max right here, and sorry for not posting anything for the last week. I've been on vacation, but I just want to do a little bit of an update here about what I'm seeing in the charts, what I'm seeing in the market, and just checking things out. So right now I'm on the, this is the dollar index, the DXY if you're looking for it in the charts. You can see it up here, DXY. And this is telling us something really important. Now I've shared with you before, why is the DXY important? It's talking about the strength of the dollar. And what you see is when people are going risk off, it's like, things are a little bit shaky. I want to reduce my risk. We're going to go back into the dollar. And like it or not, the broader market, the institutions view Bitcoin, view virtually everything, pardon me, as risky. Dollar is considered the least risky thing there is. So when the dollar strengthens, that means people are going risk off. Typically what happens in those environments is the price of everything gets hit. Real estate, stock market, crypto, you name it. If we come all the way back here, this is March of 2020. You'll know probably every other chart you've looked at of March of 2020, oil, stocks, you name it, there's this huge plummet. Well, we see here in March of 2020, the dollar massively strengthens. That's because everyone was de-risking, right? The coronavirus comes out, oh my God, stock market down 30%, crypto down 60%. What happens to the DSY? It strengthens, right? For the last couple of years, the DXY, the strength of the dollar has been reducing because everything else has been going up. People wanted risk on, okay? Very, very important to understand that. And we just see some really, really important patterns playing out here. So to begin with, I think last time I made a video, we were just about here, and I think maybe it was just here, it just broken out of this very important trend line here in the dollar, right? And you can see what happened was it rose up to this trend line, came back down. Now over the last few days, it has confirmed what was previous resistance as support and has now started heading north again. So this is a very, very interesting development. Now, if you did the TA on this, there's a couple of things you might come up with. One, you might come up with this kind of a W pattern here, right? Or you can see, how do I get rid of that? Or you can see this ascending triangle here with this upward sloping line in here. Either way, no matter how you do that TA, if you take this here to here, we've got the breakout here, and we drag that up to here, what we see is this TA is sharing with us that the DXY, the dollar index, should get up to about 98. Now, importantly enough, we haven't hit 98 since March of 2020. Bitcoin price at the time, if my memory serves, something in the order of between $5,000 and $10,000, something like that, right? So yeah, this is just important to understand where the pattern is showing that people are, or the market is very, very much considering risk off. Risk off will be bad for crypto, okay? We see, let's go check out, we'll get to crypto charts in a minute, by the way. But let's go and check out Dow Jones. And we see here this very important trend line. Okay? We've got this lower high, lower high, lower high. This trend is not reversed yet. Maybe we're going to punch through. Fantastic. Likewise on the DXY, maybe we're going to bounce off of this trend line here, come back down. Right? So we have to wait for confirmation for these things. But I'm just telling you, we're at an interesting point. So if this does bounce off and come down here, this would be what? The fourth consecutive lower low, right? What was interesting was we did put in a lower high. We did put in a higher low here. So that's giving me a little bit of excitement for we want Bitcoin to go, we want everything to go up. If you're positioned that way, we want that. If you're holding back on the sidelines, you don't want that. You want everything to crash so you can come and buy in everything cheap. But for those of you who are in the markets, we want things to keep going. And this little upward trend here gives me a little bit of hope here. But I just want you to notice, Dow Jones going up. Let's check out the S&P. Same kind of story. We've got this downward trend line happening here. Okay? And again, we're at the top of that trend line. Maybe it breaks through. Maybe it bounces off and comes down. So if that comes down, Dow Jones comes down, what you would expect is the dollar to punch through that line of resistance here and really, really bring in a new era. Because you can see here, not that much resistance here for quite a while. You get a little bit up here in the 96, 97, but that little bit of TA suggesting it to be TA. Now, I did mention, I want to specify here, I have to be very careful of my words. So I did say when the DXY got up here to 98, last time we saw that Bitcoin price was in around the $6,000, $7,000, $10,000 range. That doesn't mean I'm predicting a $6,000 or $7,000 Bitcoin. I want to be crystal clear on that. We have two very opposed forces working right now. The market is just a little bit scared. It's debating about whether or not to just turn. Stock market come down, real estate come down, dollar strength punch through that line of resistance. Are we going to go into a risk-off environment? It's deciding that right now. We don't know the answer. We have to wait for confirmation. But that's what it's thinking about doing. Now, independent of all of that, you have this incredible technology in cryptocurrency that is very, it's hitting its tipping point. There's just hundreds of millions of users now, and it's really hitting its stride, and it is about to go absolutely parabolic. But it may get a punch in the guts from the macro economy. So everything about Bitcoin, on-chain analysts, on-chain analytics, you've got the narrative, you've got the news, a lot of good things, good for Bitcoin, right? Very, very good. You just have this specter in the overall market saying maybe there's something to consider here. If real estate market gets hit, stock market gets hit, and the dollar strengthens, we may see a place where it's going to hold back the crypto environment, may even give it a little bit of a punch in the guts. But as I've said in other times, I think it'll be crypto will lead any kind of recovery. If there is any kind of a macro crash, then Bitcoin price will get hit, yes, and hit probably a bit harder than everything else. It's more volatile, but it will lead the recovery very, very quickly. So I just want people to pay attention to these two things and notice if the market does decide and we punch through this line of resistance, then just keep in mind it's going to be a massive headwind, I should say, for Bitcoin. Now, the other thing I wanted to bring your attention to is the Bitcoin dominance. We have a little bit of movement here lately, and we look like it's like a W pattern here. So this looks like a pretty clear double bottom to me, all right? Bitcoin went down to the 40, double bottom, and is now headed up. And this, again, looks like a nice W pattern happening here. So we're down, we're up, we're down, and we're somewhat up here. Now notice we are this area of resistance. I've drawn it for you earlier. Am I clicked on that? What am I clicked on? No, I'm on that thing. Let me get in there nice and deep so I can. No. Let me select. There it is. Ready? This area of resistance. Now we've just approached it and bounced off it perfectly. Okay? So we're going to have to keep an eye on it. I've told you before, in my opinion, we really, really need to see Bitcoin dominance go up for the next really, really big leg in crypto. The way I see it is you've got institutional money pouring into Bitcoin. Meanwhile, you've got some Bitcoin speculators who are like, oh, I've made some great coins in Bitcoin. Now I think the next big thing are NFTs or something else. And so they're selling into the wall of institutional money coming in, and they're going to go over and speculate over here on NFTs and maybe DeFi and some other things. That is going to create it already has, in my opinion. By the way, they've made great money. NFTs are up like 300% in the last couple of weeks. Like they're crushing it, right? As long as they're smart enough to get out, maybe that's all going to prove to be very, very wise. But I consider that money leaving Bitcoin and going into the NFTs, etc. I consider that as like a leak in the bucket. You've got the institutional money pouring into Bitcoin, and then you've got this leak in the bucket, money flowing out to altcoins and NFTs and other things. And I think it's really, really holding us back. I think if that bubble pops in NFT land and money comes back into crypto, you'll see the Bitcoin dominance accelerate. You'll see in the last part of this year and early next year, if there is no Black Swan event in the broader economy, you will see a FOMO bull market like you've never seen before. It is going to be epic. You could see Bitcoin prices hitting just astronomical figures. But there's a few things that are required there for it to happen. The people need to not just, okay, let's go to the next speculative thing and go into NFTs or whatever else. Like, I'm not saying NFTs aren't here to stay, but just like Bitcoin was extremely volatile in its early days, and it's still volatile now, and it still is its early days, NFTs are an absolute baby. It's going to have massive bubbles and massive collapses. You're going to see at some point I don't know when it's going to be, next week, next month, next year, you're going to see a 90% collapse in NFTs. That's just going to happen. That's okay. Bitcoin did it too. It doesn't mean NFTs don't have a place in the future. It doesn't mean they're not going to be super awesome, but it doesn't mean they're going to go up forever at hundreds of percent. Just not what it means. It's not how it works. That bubble will pop. And when that pops, I think it's going to be a good thing for the Bitcoin market and therefore the crypto market. Bitcoin will take off, and then in the following months there will be a flow through to altcoins, and then there'll be a bubble pop for all of crypto, and both of them will come down. But you've heard me talk about this before. I like to see this Bitcoin dominance climbing, testing this. It's got rejected here just today. Got rejected on this thing. But what I would anticipate happening here is some kind of an upward sloping trend line. We work towards it, and eventually somewhere perhaps down here, we punch through. So everything looking extremely, extremely good for Bitcoin, everything looking extremely good for crypto. Some of the more speculative things, NFTs, that bubble will pop. I don't know if it's going to happen sooner rather than later. Keep an eye out for that. But you do have this looming specter of the dollar index, right? Keep an eye on that one. If we go into some kind of broader market pullback, recession even, then you're going to see Bitcoin prices get hit, and you have to have a strategy around that, because we're not insiders. We're not going to know, right? So you have to have a strategy that works for you no matter what. I'll repeat for you my strategy, which I've said at many other occasions. I am quite heavily into crypto, and especially Bitcoin, right? The reason is, if things go up, great. The broader market only has to survive for a few more months, and Bitcoin will go absolutely nuts. I'm thoroughly convinced of it. The on-chain metrics kind of demand it. If there is a crash, there is this Black Swan event, a crash, real estate, stock market crash, etc., etc. If there is any kind of a crash, Bitcoin will get hit, but it will be one of the first to recover, because the network adoption, the exploding industry, the interest, all the things, absolutely critical. It is going to do very, very well in the very near future. It could go straight up from here, or it could, if there's a Black Swan event, comes back, but it will come back first. What you want to do is you want to have some cash on the sidelines to pay your bills, pay your rent, pay your mortgage, pay your food, that you don't need to sell your crypto when it's low. Don't be over leveraged, don't be overextended. Have some cash on the sidelines. If it crashes, maybe you have some cash to buy in low, or just ride out the misery of however long that takes, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. But in my opinion, there is no way in the world we are 3, 4, 5 years away from 6-digit Bitcoin. I think it could happen as soon as in a few months. There's no way in the world we're 3 or 4 or 5 years away from it. I just don't think that's possible because of just the exploding nature of the space. Hundreds of millions of users coming in over the next few years. We should hit 1 billion users by 2023, 2024. That is not far away. It's all very, very exciting stuff in crypto land. So guys, I hope that kind of gives you some background there and understanding about how to play this, because we're not fortune tellers. We don't know what markets are going to do. So you want to have a strategy that works either way, and that way you're going to secure your future. I hope that helps. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll speak to you guys soon. Take care.